This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
Welcome into Between the Uprights. I'm Joe, that's Matt. Chris couldn't be here with us today, but our thoughts go out to her as she's working her way back from an illness. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be here giving you all of that great football breakdown that you come to Between the Uprights for. Before we get into all that, please hit that like and subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us here at Between the Uprights. We're just getting this thing rolling here, and we would appreciate if you were to like and subscribe. Now, the Jets continue to jet. Another head coach, just over 3 years into his tenure. He's out of there. Robert Saleh has been fired. Shit canned by the Jets organization. Security had to walk this man out. They didn't let him talk to the team at all. He was escorted off the premises like a damn regular human being. And I don't know even what to think about it right now, because I did a video on bad organizations being bad, all right? And the Jets were a use case because they never give head coaches a chance. They have either hired bad head coaches or they have never given them a chance. They have literally have the fifth fewest seasons allowed as a head coach before you get fired at 3.5. And guess what? Robert Saleh made it to
3.5.
3.25, bro. Like literally on par, man. On par with what they do. How does this happen? And the greatest thing about this is that last year, you didn't even really give the guy a chance because the quarterback you brought in to be the guy played, 4 snaps and was done because he tore his Achilles. And then he had to win through 4 other quarterbacks, and they still had a really good defense. This year, their defense is top 10, and their quarterback, who the guy you brought in paid all this money, gave up capital for, and Aaron Rodgers, threw probably one of the worst interceptions I've seen a future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning MVP caliber quarterback throw, when he underthrew his wide receiver and basically he threw the route to Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore was the only person who could catch that football. If Aaron Rodgers steps into that football and puts it to the back pylon like we have seen him do countless times as a Packer, that is a touchdown for the Jets. Instead, he left it about 10 yards short, and Stephon Gilmore had to fall down just to catch it because it was that underthrown. Didn't even give the guy a chance. And it's just another case of a bad organization putting blame in the wrong place. And Matt, I know you got some feelings about this, but I'm going to go ahead and say something real quick. They coddled Aaron Rodgers all offseason, and it blew us away. If it was raining, he didn't practice.
Ugh.
If it was, he came to, organized team activities, which aren't mandatory, and then went on a retreat during mandatory minicamp, didn't play a preseason game, got no reps at all with anybody in his offense. And 5 games in, we're going to blame the head coach because he's not meeting expectations. Robert Saleh, congratulations. You've joined the Jets scapegoat shelf. You're on the shelf with them. It's a loaded fucking shelf. You got a lot of friends up there, buddy. But the Jets have literally scapegoated Robert Saleh right now. And then they bring in the defensive. They say, hey, you know what, Robert Saleh, you're out. Our defense is good. We're going to go ahead and put Jeff Ulbrich, who is the defensive coordinator. He's our interim head coach. And that's just going to magically fix everything. It's going to fix that our offense isn't putting up points and our quarterback's throwing picks and that we're overall just a dysfunctional organization. It blows my mind. Matt, before I go on a tirade about how the Jets jet, please take it away.
Well, if you're not going to go on a tirade, I'll probably go on a tirade here. Listen, one of the hardest things for human beings to have is accountability. Human beings, we love to just be like, throw the excuses out. Oh, I couldn't do this because of this. Oh, I couldn't do that because of that, right? And the hardest thing for us as human beings to do is look in the mirror, right? It's hard for us to look in the mirror and really understand why things are going wrong. Woody Johnson and the Jets front office have to look themselves in the mirror and say, why does this shit always happen to us? Why are we the laughing stock, right? Why does everybody laughing at us and looking at us and saying, why do things go wrong, right? It's because you keep making the same stupid mistakes over and over and over. And in this particular instance, you decided to give all the authority of your organization to, at the time, a 39-year-old quarterback coming off one of the worst seasons of his career from Green Bay, who already has a bunch of really eccentric character. I won't say character flaws, but he's got a weird character about him. His teammates, some of his teammates don't like him. Some of his teammates love him. He's kind of on the borderline of like what you would think a leader should be. He's going off on darkness retreats. He's thinking about retiring. He's doing ayahuasca. There's a lot of things. He's thinking about running for vice president. Like, he's got so much going on, right? And you gave the entire keys to your organization to this man. You signed Alan Lazard, a receiver who I don't even think is in the top 75 of best receivers in the NFL, to a 4-year, $44 million contract to get him in there. You signed Nathaniel Hackett, his offensive coordinator, who just came from Denver, where it was one of the most anemic, terrible offenses we've ever seen with Russell Wilson in his first year, to be his offensive coordinator because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. He really likes Nathaniel Hackett, right? And you didn't give Aaron Rodgers the structure for him to succeed either. So again, Rodgers is playing bad. He's playing terrible. And it's to be expected. He just tore his Achilles, and you don't have any really legitimate receivers for him to throw to besides Garrett Wilson, and I'll get into those numbers later. So listen, I want to get this straight. I don't think Saleh's a great coach. I really don't. I don't think he's a great head coach. But to say this is a scapegoat is an understatement, okay? 2 7-10 seasons and then a 4-13 season from Saleh. You finished last twice and you finished third once. That isn't great, okay? The years previous, not great. But again, he helped turn a defense where his first year with that defense, they were the worst defense in the NFL. They were the worst defense in the NFL his first year, and they've helped turn that defense into the last few years, the previous two being 4th in points and 12th in points, 4th in points and 4th in yards and 3rd in yards. And this year, they're 5th in points and 2nd in yards. Coming from San Francisco, where he was the defense, obviously the DC, and defense is his specialty. So he turned around the defense. He deserves credit for that. He's obviously been bad in the media, and that's huge in New York. Robert Saleh has been bad in the media. How he handled the Zach Wilson situation, the Rodgers missing the mandatory stuff, and just a bunch of other odd quotes. And obviously in New York, that's really important. So he's been bad in the media. The game management, he's also struggled with that. I don't like some of his in-game decisions. But so again, I don't think he's a great head coach. But again, they have never had competent quarterback play. That is a front office issue. The first 3 years were because of Zach Wilson. Their offense ranked 28th, and 29th in points, and then 25th, 26th, and 31st in yards. So their offense was obviously horrible. But guess what? Their quarterback is still bad. Just because the jersey has Rodgers on the back now doesn't mean their offense isn't still horrible and the quarterback isn't still bad. This year, their offense is 25th in points and 27th in yards. Very similar to what Zach Wilson is doing. And Aaron Rodgers is 15th in yards per game. You think 15th? Oh, that's middle of the pack. The rest of it, 29th in yards per attempt, 26th in completion percentage, 21st in quarterback rating, or 26th in quarterback rating, 21st in QBR, and he's thrown the 7th most interceptions in football. And he hasn't thrown for 300 yards in 27 games since December 21st of 2021. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards. It's not even a lot of yards in today's NFL. So he's bad. Aaron Rodgers is bad now. Again, he wasn't good his last year there as a 38-year-old quarterback in Green Bay. He tore his Achilles as a 39-year-old. And now 5 games into his 40-year-old season, he's bad. So again, Saleh to me is 100% the scapegoat for the front office and Aaron Rodgers' failures. So I can't deal with all this stuff about Aaron Rodgers in the Jets being contenders. They're obviously not. We know they're not. It's not going to happen. They're not a good football team. It's not going to happen. Garrett Wilson's a number 1 receiver. He's also not a number 1 receiver. When you look at Garrett Wilson's numbers with Aaron Rodgers, people are talking about, oh, Garrett Wilson's back. He had 101 yards and a touchdown. Rodgers was 13 of 22 for 101 yards targeting Garrett Wilson. That's 4.6 yards per attempt. That would be the worst in football throughout a season. And for the season, he's 33 for 56 for 292 yards targeting Garrett Wilson on the season. That's 5.2 yards per attempt. So again, Garrett Wilson is not going to fix it. Something I understand as far as what people are arguing is Rodgers, he's with a new team. He'll get better throughout the season. Great veteran QBs like Brady and Manning and Matthew Stafford, when they moved teams, they struggled at the start and then they got better throughout the season. But this situation is just way more of drama, way more of a shit show, and it's far worse on-field play than any of those. So again, Aaron Rodgers' poor play and the influence on the Jets organization in the front office, allowing Aaron Rodgers' influence to influence them, is way worse than having Robert Saleh as a head coach. So this has all just been an absolute shit show for the New York Jets, and Robert Saleh was a scapegoat.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that this is ridiculous. And you brought something up that I had said previously on another video on, why young QBs fail and blaming organizations and things like that. The media and the fan base in New York is absolutely cutthroat. They foam at the fucking mouth, man, just given an opportunity. It's unbased, right? They have no foundation or reason to be this way. They act like they're consistently winners, and they're not. You have never been this perennial contender that you believe you are. You've only ever had, let me count them for you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coaches who've ever coached a playoff game. You've had 21 total head coaches, including Jeff Ulbrich right now. 21. So 33% of your coaches have even ever sniffed the playoffs. Hell, only 2 of your coaches have ever had a winning record. Everyone else has had a losing record. The closest, literally, Rex Ryan, 46-50. Eric Mangini, 23-25. Herm Edwards, 39-41. Those are your 3 playoff coaches recently, since the year 2000. Guess what? Your only 2 winning coaches, Bill Parcells is 29-19. You gave him 97, 98, and 99. He went to 2 playoff games. He's 1-1. Al Groh, who replaced him in 2000, went 9-7. Didn't see another fucking year as a head coach. He got 1 year. That was it. All right. You, as an organization, fire good head coaches because of bad experiences, because you let the media and the fans bully you into doing this. Rex Ryan got a butt fumble fired. That's essentially why Rex Ryan got out of there. They sent Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez packing because of a butt fumble. That's essentially what happened. You bring in Todd Bowles, he gets 3 years. You bring in Adam Gase, he gets 2 years. You bring in Robert Saleh, he gets 3.5 max. Now you got Jeff Ulbrich. You are literally 2 things. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed to repeat them.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Einstein probably, right, that said, never trust the Jets?
Yes, Einstein.
Right?
Correct.
Einstein probably.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein probably. I think that's going to go on a fucking T-shirt.
It was right after the theory of relativity. He was E equals MC squared, theory of relativity, and then don't trust the Jets. It was in that order.
Yeah.
Those 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Like all of that, E equals MC squared, theory of relativity, did 2 shots, watched an atomic bomb drop. Don't trust the Jets.
Yep, there it is. And that was one day. That was one day for Einstein.
Jesus, man, what a fucking day.
What a day.
Bro, but I don't understand. There is no possible way that, it makes no sense. Literally, Rex Ryan, Herm Edwards, Joe Walton, Walt Michaels, and Weeb Ewbank are the only coaches. Right?
Shout out to him.
Are the only coaches to see 80 games or more as a head coach.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
What else can we say about the Jets organization? You look at certain places, there's a reason they don't consistently win. We were talking about the Browns earlier. There's a reason we think of them as the Browns. There's a reason the Jaguars are the Jaguars. There's a reason in baseball the Pirates are the Pirates. There's a reason these teams don't win. There's a reason. And it starts from the head of the snake and it works its way down. And it's the same thing with the Jets organization. It starts with Woody Johnson, terrible owner that works its way into a terrible GM, into a terrible coach. And and even when you do get a good coach, you find a good coach, he has some bad time, you kick him out, so it's just like, it's just the recurring cycle. And then I don't know how you fix it outside of getting a new owner. And I think as far as the ownership point goes, I think that's part of the difference with the Commanders this season is they sold the team to a different owner, Josh Harris. He completely fixed everything. He fixed the GM. They got Dan Quinn in there. They got a new quarterback, and now they're rolling, right? There's a completely different feel about the organization, right? So I think it's going to take something like that for me to really be like, the Jets are something, unless it's like a one-off where they have a super talented roster, they get a good coach, and their roster is talented now, but it's not talented enough to overcome the terrible front office, the bad quarterback play, and now, the lack of a head coach, so it's just all bad for the Jets. And I don't see how they're going to turn it around this season or in the future.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know how they do it either. Like you said, you look at the Commanders' new ownership in like a year has completely turned the corner.
Yep.
That place looks like that is not the same Washington team that we grew up with, that we've seen and we know.
Mm-mm.
You start to see these things where owners get too big in their britches. You look down at Dallas right now. They're falling apart. And Dallas Cowboys fans, as well as the NFL, has been saying it for years that Jerry Jones has no business making personnel decisions anymore. And he is like the only time they were good was Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy couldn't stand Jerry Jones's ass, and he left and was done with coaching. So you start to see the organizations that fail. It usually starts at the top and works its way down. And once again, it's just a use case. It's an example of why the Jets have been, will be, and continue to be a bad organization, and the Jets will continue to jet.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.